But now it's good to see that, you guys have, come from that. And it's not a little country, a little country, but it is, and also the likes of Liam Lawson. I think you grew up, you race karting with him.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
Growing up with Liam was pretty cool.
Yep.
Like he obviously just lived down the road from where I grew up. So and we went to the same school together as well. So that was pretty cool. We basically hung out like every day. It was weird for us not to hang out every day, but obviously he's, we grow up racing karts together, and he was very highly talented. And I basically started karting because my dad was like, oh, why don't we just get into it, and bought a kart for my 5th birthday or something. And then because Liam we were going to school together, he sort of found out, oh, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I just started karting. And so he came down and watched at Mount Wellington, which is no longer exists at the track, but came down and watched, and he's like, oh man, Dad, I need to get into this. Like, too jealous of Matt. So
there you go.
Him and Jared, they both got a card, and we were like, we raced for the same team. Like, well, not really team, but we just raced together from cadets, and then obviously he's going on to do what he's doing now, which is pretty surreal for us. Like as to know him from so young, and he's
that'd be pretty cool.
He's growing up to race in F1, which is very special. It's very cool to watch.
What do you think's going on there at the moment? Like, obviously, what he did when he had to jump in a few times, he probably punched well above his weight, and I guess the expectations were probably pretty high this year, and obviously it hasn't started that well, and there's a lot of rumours swirling around and stuff like that. But what do you think? Like, I personally think he's getting quite a bit of hate for not really.
I agree.
Yeah, it's terrible. Like, I'm really quite annoyed that a lot of people are getting into him about it, and basically saying, some horrible stuff about him, and that he's no good and things like that. But I just find that he's proved himself countless times, like you said, jumping into the car after Daniel broke his thumb, and basically just getting in there and doing the job, and there was no real hint that he wasn't good enough at that time. Even getting in after he replaced Daniel eventually, and out qualifying Yuki, and the results are there, but it's just, I find like this year's was always going to be tough because he's up against Max, who everyone knows for the last 5-6 years has been the benchmark in that car. And the old story goes, like the second driver really struggles to adapt to it, and it sort of, as it looks, it's almost made around him, made around Max to suit his driving style, which, as we know, like, it's super hard to copy someone else, when it's not your natural style. So I think, he's just finding it really difficult at the moment to get the lap time out of it. It would be a real shame if he was going to get dropped in, after 2 rounds. I think that's really, really hard cut. But, it's just, I really enjoy seeing him in there doing it.
I think what's interesting is, like, back when Max was winning every race and stuff, Checo was finishing, 5th and stuff like that, or get a podium. But the difference is now it's not like Max is just winning and Liam's, nowhere. Like, yes, he's outside the points, but Max is finishing 5th and race 1 of the year. Yeah, he finished 2nd, but, there's a lot of things that aren't also going Red Bull's way at the moment. So I think I don't think just chucking another driver in is going to fix all your problems. Like, if it was that easy, everyone would do it, and they've done it countless times, and look what's happened. So
I think putting Tsunoda in would definitely not improve the situation. If anything, it takes away a great opportunity for Liam to show what he's got in the next few races.
Yeah, and I think going back to, like, when we used to race against him, you can probably comment more than I can, but if there's anyone that's mentally strong enough to go against Max, it's Liam. So.
Yeah, he's on another level with that stuff. Like his
he's
grit,
always been so focused.
His grit and his will to win is beyond anyone I've seen, and I think he can put up with the pressure. Like, it is so much.
I think at the moment, if he can get through what he's going through right now, he'll be set. Like, if he can bounce back at the next round and just go there and get points or whatever, he'll be sweet. So I think it's pretty interesting. But, like, what if we had a situation like that in supercars? Obviously, let's say, you know, there was a guy struggling in supercars. Do you think they should be replaced by a guy and then they go back to Super 2 or something like that? And I don't know. I think it's a totally different situation.
Yeah,
but
it is a little bit. I think, honestly, with our system, it's probably a little bit different.
I think with a team like mine, it would suit.
You've got a bit of a program.
Yeah.
Like for a team like us, I don't think it would make sense just because we don't have a development
that's exactly
or a Super
right.
2 team be Like
we have be getting someone random to come into the team. They wouldn't know the processes. We're over there. Obviously, they're in, you know, the Red Bull guys. They're in the same workshop. And I was fortunate enough to go over and actually see it. But it's cool to have. They've got all the simulators there in the same place. You know, all the guys work
Didn't you
together.
go do some sim stuff?
Yeah. I went over to Milton Keynes and got to drive on the F1 sim, and it was cool to see. You know,
Red Bull or
Red Bull, yeah. So they had the back then it was AlphaTauri sim upstairs, and they had one of the guys, I think Liam was there a couple of days before, and he was testing some stuff around it. It was